Hello everybody, we are going to cover one more topic in your cloud computing subject, that is nothing but cloud deployment using Docker. So in this video we talk about Docker, which is a popular containerization tool, and we are going to learn what is Docker, how to use Docker and how to containerize your application. So we will see what is Docker. Docker is nothing but it is a containerization tool that lets you run your application in isolated environments called containers. So means what, we are going to create container. So in that container we are going to run our application. So Docker is a tool which will help us to do all this task. So what is container? If you see the diagram, you can understand containers are nothing but it is like a package which will include what all dependencies which are required for your application to run, like what libraries are required, what configurations are required, and what runtime environment is required. That all are included as a package and it is made a container. So using this Docker we are going to create this container. So what is the architecture? So if you want to do this thing, the Docker has got the architecture. So whenever we want to create a Docker container, we need to follow this architecture. So we will first create an application which we want to run, then we create a Docker file, and using the Docker file which we are putting in that application, we are going to create a Docker image, and then once Docker image is ready, we will create a Docker container. So we will see step by step how to do this. So if you should know what is Docker file. Docker file is a blueprint which has or a set of instructions on how you want your Docker container to be first need as a Docker file. So how your Docker is going to be working, those all details we are going to give in the Docker file. Yes, we are going to do hands on Dockerization. So what we need to do, what are the prerequisites required for this thing to do is, first you should need to have as we are going to build this application in Python, you should have Python software installed on your system. Then we need Visual Studio Code to run this application, and then we need Docker to be installed on our system. So we will see step by step what to do. So after installation all these things, first we have to create a folder with some name which we can open in Visual Studio Code and make it into our project and an application. So I need to create a folder. So I click new folder, then I will go and open my Visual Studio Code. When I say folder and I say open folder, and then I say this Docker application, I select this folder will be opened. So once this is opened, we can write our application over here. So once this is opened, I will create one new file over here. I will give the file name as app.py. So enter. So once I create a file, that will be shown over here. So inside this file I am going to paste the code which I want to create for this application, so which I have already written. So this application is pasted over here. So this is what is the application. So if you see this application, so we have something called Flask. What are these we will slowly see. I am going to create an app. So the only thing which you need to understand in this is this method. I have written a method called hello in Python, which is returning hello world learning Docker. So this is done, and one more thing we need to do is we need to create something called requirements dot txt. So that is also required because we are importing from Flask, so that Flask thing is required. So here only we will write something called Flask, right. These two things are done. So so I have a very simple Python application which is going to print hello world learning Docker, and so Flask is the dependency. So I have created requirements.txt file and saved it. Right. So Flask is the dependency which we need to install in order to run this application. So how do you install Flask is, I go to terminal, I click on these three dots, I go to terminal, I create a new terminal. Right. So, we have installed Flask now. So, we were getting some error because of that Flask was not installed because of this line. So, that is resolved. Now, Flask is installed on my system. So, now this application I have kept over here. Now, I can run this application. I will say now we will run this application using the command python 3 app.py. So, this app is running. So, if I go to my application here and I say localhost 5000, you see the output is coming over here. Now, this application I have created. Now, I should dockerize this, so that it can be made into container and then it runs. So, how do you dockerize it? So, there is a before dockerization, what you have to do is you have to install Docker on your system. So, how do you install Docker on your system? You can go to Google, and then in the command prompt you can type this docker.com/products/docker -desktop/. So, you will get this. So, you said download for Windows. So, once you download this, what you can see on the system is this symbol. You will see this is the Docker application which is downloaded on your system. So, once you double click this, you will see the Docker thing, whatever is there, that we will see slowly once it is opened. Till then, we will create a Docker file which is required for our program. So, again I will go to my Visual Studio. Inside this Visual Studio, what I will do is once that installation is done. So, there is a command called docker init. So, there is a command called docker init which will help me to create a Docker. So, how do I create a Docker? I will say docker space init. So, once I say this, you will see. So, it will ask what type of application you want to create. I say I can move this arrow up and down based on my requirement. So, I can create a Java application, I can create Node application or ASP.NET application. So, now I am creating Python. I'll go there and I'll press enter. Then it is asking for the version, the same version I have available, I'll directly say enter. So, it is asking me for the port. I say the port will be 5000. So, then it is asking in what command you want to run your application. So, there is a command like how we run this application. So, that command I have copied over here, I will show you. So, this will be passed you as a file, you can check what command. So, this is what is the command which you are going to use. So, I will say copy and I will paste over here. So, right click, it is pasted, I say enter. Once it is entered, it says that your Docker is ready. So, you can start running your application. You say this is your Docker file is ready. So, once Docker file is ready, your application is ready. So, I can run this docker compose hyphen build. So, this is running. Once this is running, you will see when I say docker, last time I have clicked docker. So, this is how this docker is shown on your system. If you have created some images, that will be shown on this system. So, now this is done. Now, my application is dockerized. Right, when I say this build, because of this the docker, the file which I have created, docker file which will be created, it will be into the docker. You see, when I see this now, when I refresh this, I have given the name as docker application, that has come into my docker. So, this is how you dockerize your application whatever is created. What you need to do is, first you need to install Python. Hopefully, everybody has got Python on your system. Then you should have Docker, which is what we have done on this Docker thing you have to install on your system. Then you should have Visual Studio Code. So, I have shown the path how to install this Docker. from this you can install a URL, you can install this Docker to your system. So, these three things are prerequisites which are required to run this application. So, this is how we have Dockerized our application, means what our application whichever is available we have kept it on the Docker. Thank you.